Captain Aiden adjusted the strap of his gear and looked around the strange, glowing forest. The planet was unlike anything he had ever seen. Trees shimmered in shades of green and blue, and strange plants floated a few feet above the ground. Tiny glowing insects flew like living lanterns in the air, and the sky above was painted in streaks of purple and pink. It was beautiful but also dangerous. Aiden's mission was simple, or so he thought. Explore the planet, gather data, and return safely. Humans had visited dozens of planets, but this one was uncharted. There were no reports of intelligent life here, at least none that anyone knew about. As he took a careful step forward, the ground beneath him shook. Leaves rustled and shadows moved quickly between the trees. Aiden tensed. He had faced hostile creatures before, but something about this felt different. He reached for his scanner, but before he could use it, a shrill cry cut through the air. Out of the shadows came a group of alien women warriors, moving faster than his eyes could follow. They were tall, with slender yet strong bodies covered in armor that seemed to grow from their skin. Their skin had an unusual metallic shimmer, and their eyes glowed faintly with a color that shifted as they moved. Each of them carried curved weapons that hummed with energy. They looked like nothing Aiden had ever seen, yet there was a strange elegance in the way they moved. "You are not welcome here," one of them said, her voice sharp but melodic, echoing slightly in the open forest. Aiden raised his hands, showing he meant no harm. "I come in peace," he said. His voice sounded small in the face of their presence, but they did not respond. Instead, they charged. Aiden barely had time to react. He dodged the first attack, feeling the energy blade swipe inches from his shoulder. He rolled to the side as another warrior swung her weapon, narrowly missing him. He grabbed a fallen branch and swung it as a makeshift shield. The alien women were not just strong. They were precise, coordinated, and faster than anything Aiden had trained for. He ducked under a flying kick, narrowly avoiding being knocked off his feet. "Okay," he muttered to himself. "This is more than I expected." The warriors circled him, their movements fluid, almost like a dance. Each strike was both deadly and beautiful. Aiden could not help but notice the strength in their arms, the grace in their steps, and the sharp focus in their glowing eyes. One of the warriors, slightly taller than the rest, stepped forward. She had long silver hair that floated behind her as she moved, and her eyes were a bright, shifting blue. "You are brave, human, but bravery will not save you," she said, raising her weapon for another attack. Aiden thought fast. He could not outfight them all, not with his limited strength and weapons. But he also knew that showing fear might make them more aggressive. He had to try something different. He took a deep breath, lowering his guard slightly, and looked into the warrior's glowing eyes. Then, in a soft voice, almost a whisper, he said something completely unexpected. "You're gorgeous." The forest went quiet. The hum of energy weapons stopped. The warriors froze mid-attack, their bodies locked in place. Even the wind seemed to pause. Aiden's heart pounded in his chest. He had no idea if this would make things worse or save his life. The warrior with silver hair tilted her head slightly, her glowing eyes widening in shock. For the first time, her lips curled, not into a smile but into a confused expression. She lowered her weapon slightly, glancing at her companions. They too were frozen. Their eyes flicked between Aiden and each other, unsure what to do. Fighting had been their instinct. Strength, speed, and precision were everything in their culture, and yet here was this human, standing alone, looking at them with respect and admiration. Aiden kept his voice soft, calm. "I don't mean harm. I see you. I see how strong you are, how skilled you are. You are amazing." The words were simple, but they had an effect he could not have imagined. Slowly, the tallest warrior, Lyra, lowered her weapon completely. Her friends followed, though still wary. Aiden took a careful step forward. "I come from far away," he said. "I did not mean to intrude. I just want to understand your world." Lyra studied him for a long moment. Then, in a voice that was quieter than before but still firm, she said, "Humans speak differently than we expected. Your words, they confuse us." Aiden gave a small smile. "I guess we humans are full of surprises." Another warrior finally broke the frozen silence. Her voice was softer, almost hesitant. "Why do you compliment us?" Aiden thought about it. "Because I respect what I see. Strength, skill, courage, beauty. You have all of it. I don't just see you as fighters. I see you as amazing beings." The words hung in the air. The alien women exchanged glances. Their expressions were hard to read, part curiosity, part disbelief. They had trained for years to control emotions, to value power above all else. And now, here was a human standing in front of them, making them question everything they had been taught. Lyra finally spoke. "You're not afraid of us?" "I am cautious," Aiden admitted. "But I am not afraid. I believe respect matters more than fear." A pause. Then Lyra motioned for the others to step back. "Very well," she said. "You may speak. But know this, one wrong move and this will end badly for you." Aiden nodded, keeping his hands visible. "I understand." They moved to a small clearing away from the floating plants and glowing insects. As they walked, Aiden could not help but notice the alien women's movements were still graceful, like water flowing over rocks. Their weapons hummed lightly, but they did not raise them. Lyra spoke again. "Tell me, human, why do your words have such power?" Aiden shrugged lightly. "I think humans have learned that words can do what weapons cannot. They can build trust, stop fights, inspire courage, even change minds." The warriors exchanged confused looks. "Words?" Lyra repeated. "We rely on strength, weapons, speed. Words are weak." "Sometimes," Aiden said, "but sometimes words are stronger than any weapon. They make people see each other as allies, not enemies. They make people fight together instead of against each other." Lyra paused, thinking. Her eyes, glowing bright blue, lingered on Aiden for a moment longer than usual. "Perhaps," she said slowly, "we have underestimated your kind." Aiden smiled, trying to ease the tension. "Maybe, but I am not here to fight. I want to learn, and maybe to help if I can." The warriors continued to watch him cautiously, still unsure if he could be trusted. Aiden noticed their subtle gestures, small shifts in stance, the way they observed his movements. They were not aggressive anymore, but not fully trusting either. Suddenly, a rustle came from the forest edge. All the warriors snapped to attention instantly, weapons raised. Aiden froze, realizing that danger might be near. But before anyone attacked, a strange shadow passed overhead, a flying creature with wings that sparkled like crystal. It circled once, then disappeared. Lyra lowered her weapon again. "This planet is full of dangers," she said. "Not all of them are humans." "You should know this." "I do," Aiden replied. "And I am ready to face them as long as I do not have to fight you." A tense silence followed. Then, slowly, one of the younger warriors spoke. "Your words, they are strange, but maybe they are not lies." Aiden nodded. "I do not lie about what I feel, and I do feel respect for you and your people." Lyra studied him for a long moment. Then she said, "You are unlike any human we have known. Perhaps there is more to your kind than we believed." Aiden allowed himself a small sigh of relief. "Thank you. That means a lot." For the first time, the alien women seemed to relax, though they still maintained the discipline of warriors. They led him further into the glowing forest, where the trees were taller and the air shimmered with light. Aiden followed, knowing this was only the beginning of a story far bigger than he had imagined. Somewhere deep in the forest, a faint whisper of laughter echoed, a sound that was not threatening, but curious. The alien women were intrigued, cautious, and perhaps for the first time, a little unsure of their own strength in the presence of a human. Aiden walked carefully, smiling to himself. He had come to explore a new world, but already he had discovered something far more extraordinary: the power of respect, kindness, and the simple words, "You're gorgeous." And in that moment, he realized that even in the vastness of space, humans had a way of touching hearts that weapons never could. The glowing forest seemed calmer now, but Aiden knew it was only the surface. The alien warriors were powerful, intelligent, and wary. Even frozen for a moment by his words, their instincts were sharp, and their discipline had been honed through years of training. Every step he took had to show caution, respect, and intelligence, or he could provoke them again. Lyra led the way, her silver hair catching the glow of the floating plants. The other warriors followed silently, their weapons lowered but ready. Aiden noticed the subtle shift in their posture. Muscles relaxed, yet tension still lingered in their stance. He had seen humans fight, argue, and cooperate, but he realized these warriors were something entirely different. They reached a clearing with a small, crystal-clear stream running through it. Strange, glowing flowers hovered above the water, and the air was filled with a soft hum. It was peaceful, almost hypnotic. But Aiden knew appearances could be deceptive. He knelt by the stream, letting the sound calm his mind, hoping to show the warriors he was not a threat. Lyra stepped forward, sitting gracefully on a smooth rock. "You speak strangely, human," she said. "Your words, they carry weight we did not expect. Why do you do this?" Aiden looked at her, trying to meet her glowing blue eyes without showing fear. "Because I believe that respect matters more than fear. Words can stop fights, build trust, and show that someone sees your true self. I see your strength, your courage, your skill, and I respect it. That is why I speak honestly." Lyra considered this carefully. Her friends exchanged quiet whispers in their strange language. Aiden could not understand them, but the tone was not hostile. It was curiosity mixed with disbelief. "One moment," Lyra said finally. "You speak of respect. Yet humans are violent. Your species conquers, fights, and destroys. How can we believe your words are sincere?" Aiden nodded. "I understand. Humans have done terrible things in the past, but not all of us are the same. I come here not to fight, but to learn and perhaps to help. Actions matter as much as words. If I show you my intentions through what I do, maybe you will understand." Lyra's eyes narrowed slightly. "Perhaps, but understanding does not come easily. Trust must be earned, not given." "I agree," Aiden said calmly, "and I am willing to earn it step by step." The warriors watched him silently. The tension in the air was still present, but it was softer now. Aiden realized that simply speaking honestly had not defeated them, but it had opened a door. The door was small, but it existed. "Very well," Lyra said after a long pause. "You may speak, but be warned, this is not a game. Our world is under threat. You may not know this, but the neighboring system sends invaders to take what is ours. You are lucky to have survived the initial encounter. Others will not be as hesitant to attack." Aiden's heart quickened. "Invaders?" he asked. "Tell me more." Lyra motioned for the other warriors to lower their weapons completely. "There is a species that comes from the system next to ours. They seek to conquer, destroy, and take resources. They have no respect for life, art, or balance. We have fought them before, but they are growing stronger. Soon they may reach this forest and our planet is in danger." Aiden listened carefully. He had faced hostile species before, but the scale of this threat was massive. "We humans have experience with strategy and teamwork. Perhaps we can help," he said cautiously. Lyra raised an eyebrow. "Humans, you are few. You are small. What could your species do against such enemies?" Aiden smiled, a small hint of confidence in his voice. "Sometimes it's not about size. It's about thinking differently. Using creativity, flexibility, and courage. I have faced threats that seemed impossible, and humans have done it many times. Maybe together we can find a way to protect your world." The warriors exchanged glances. Their expressions were hard to read. Finally, Lyra spoke. "Perhaps, but you must understand. Our people value strength and skill above all. Words cannot fight enemies for us. You must prove yourself with action, not speech." "I understand," Aiden said, "and I am ready to do so." For a while, silence fell. The sound of the stream, the glowing flowers, and the gentle hum of the forest filled the space. Then one of the younger warriors, her eyes a bright green, stepped forward. "Why do you not fear us?" "Most humans would run or attack immediately." Aiden shrugged slightly. "I am cautious, yes. But fear blinds people. Respect opens doors. I respect your skills, your intelligence, and your strength. That is why I am not afraid. I believe you will judge me by my actions, not just my appearance." Lyra's gaze softened slightly. "Your words are unusual. They carry a weight we do not understand. Perhaps there is value in what you say." Aiden smiled. "Thank you. I hope to show you that humans can bring more than destruction. We can bring understanding, ideas, and friendship." The alien women were quiet for a moment, studying him. Aiden noticed subtle changes. The way their hands relaxed, the way their glowing eyes softened. It was not complete trust, but it was a beginning. Lyra finally spoke. "You must rest. This forest is dangerous. Predators and invaders roam here. If you stay alert, you will survive. If you relax too much, you may not. I understand," Aiden said. "Thank you for your guidance." As he settled near the stream, he observed the alien warriors. They were disciplined, skilled, and proud. Yet in their hesitation after his words, he saw something new. Curiosity. The power of words, of honesty, and of respect had created a moment of doubt. A moment where they questioned their instincts. That was a small victory. Night began to fall, painting the sky in deep purples and blues. The glowing plants provided soft light, and the forest seemed alive with whispers and movement. Aiden could hear strange calls from distant creatures, some melodic, some harsh. The alien women remained vigilant, their eyes scanning the surroundings, but they did not attack him. Lyra moved closer and sat across from him. "Tell me, human, why do you value such things as respect and honesty? In war, strength alone determines survival. Why risk weakness by showing emotion?" Aiden looked at her, choosing his words carefully. "Because strength is not only about fighting. True strength comes from knowing yourself, understanding others, and building bonds. Emotions are not weakness, they are guides. They help people fight for something bigger than themselves. And respect. Respect creates loyalty, trust, and unity. Without it, even the strongest warriors can fall apart." Lyra listened, her glowing eyes fixed on him. She had never heard such ideas. Her people trained to suppress emotion, to focus only on survival and skill.
"And yet this human—"
He spoke with clarity, wisdom, and courage. The other warriors remained nearby, watching and listening. Some whispered quietly to each other, their tones cautious, curious, and almost admiring. Aiden realized that he had created a ripple in their thinking, a ripple that might grow if he continued to show honesty and respect. Suddenly, the sound of rustling leaves made them all tense. Aiden's hand instinctively went to his utility belt, ready for defense. But it was only a small creature leaping from branch to branch. The warriors relaxed slightly, but the alertness never left them. Lyra spoke quietly. "Perhaps humans are not as weak as we believed. Perhaps your words are stronger than we thought." Aiden smiled softly. "Thank you. I hope to show you more. Not just words, but actions. If you allow me, I will help you protect this planet from those invaders." Lyra studied him in silence, then nodded slowly. "We will see. Trust is earned through deeds, not words alone. But you have intrigued us, human. That is rare." For the first time since their encounter, the tension eased. Aiden felt a small victory within him. The alien warriors had not attacked. They had not fled. They had listened, watched, and questioned. And perhaps they had begun to see him not as an enemy, but as a potential ally. As the night deepened, Aiden and the warriors settled near the stream. He kept watch, careful but calm, while the women kept their weapons nearby, still wary but less aggressive. He knew the journey ahead would be dangerous. The invaders were real and battles would come. But for now, a fragile trust had formed, a trust that could grow into cooperation, understanding, and perhaps even friendship. And in that quiet forest, under the glowing trees, Captain Aiden realized something important. Even in a galaxy full of danger, even among species that valued only strength, words, honesty, and respect could create small miracles. A single whispered compliment had frozen warriors in mid-fight. But respect, courage, and truth could open the door to alliances that might save an entire world. Aiden lay back on the soft moss, looking up at the glowing sky. He felt a strange sense of hope. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but he had learned something vital. Humans could inspire, humans could unite, and humans, through honesty and courage, could touch hearts even in the farthest reaches of space. And as he drifted into a light sleep, he knew that this was only the beginning. Morning light spilled through the glowing trees, painting the forest in shades of green and gold. Captain Aiden stretched, feeling the soft moss beneath him, and looked around at the alien women warriors. They had remained silent most of the night, their expressions unreadable as they observed him. But today felt different. Their curiosity had grown, and so had a subtle trust. Lyra approached him first. "Human," she said, her voice steady but softer than before. "The time has come to see if your words mean anything. Our scouts have reported movement near the northern cliffs. Invaders may be approaching." Aiden nodded. "Then we train and prepare. I want to help you, not just with words, but with actions." The warriors exchanged glances, some showing hints of approval, others still skeptical. Lyra waved her hand, signaling them to follow her to a nearby training ground. The area was wide and circular, the ground firm and glowing vines wrapped around stone pillars. It looked like a place where warriors practiced their skills for generations. "First," Lyra said, "we test your abilities. You will need speed, strategy, and courage to survive here. If you fail, you will not survive the invaders." Aiden smiled faintly. "I understand. Let's begin." He began with basic drills. The warriors moved with him, observing every step. At first it felt awkward. Aiden was human, not built for the same speed or strength as the aliens, but he relied on his agility, intuition, and creativity. While the warriors relied on strength and precise strikes, Aiden learned to anticipate movement, using the environment to his advantage. Lyra watched closely. "You adapt quickly," she said to herself, a hint of surprise in her tone. "Most humans would fail." "Your species moves differently," Aiden said aloud, dodging a sweeping strike from one of the warriors. "But there's value in learning from each other. I can teach tactics and you can teach skill." The warrior who attacked him lowered her weapon slightly. "Tactics?" she asked. "Explain," Aiden smiled. "Tactics is planning your moves, thinking ahead, predicting what the enemy will do. You can be strong, fast, and skilled, but if you do not plan, you may lose. Humans rely on strategy, improvisation, and cooperation." Lyra tilted her head. "Improvisation. Cooperation, unusual, but perhaps useful." For hours, Aiden practiced with them. He learned their fighting techniques, spinning strikes, rapid weapon movements, and high-speed jumps. In return, he showed them human methods, using obstacles to create advantage, coordinating attacks, and using small surprises to distract enemies. Slowly, the warriors began to see his value. "You are clever," Lyra said after one drill. "Not the strongest, but clever. That may save us when the invaders come." Aiden nodded. "Strength is important. Skill is important, but sometimes the mind wins battles that muscles cannot." During a brief break, Aiden and Lyra walked to the edge of a cliff overlooking a valley filled with glowing forests. The view was breathtaking. "Your planet. It is beautiful," he said softly. Lyra's glowing eyes softened. "It is ours. We protect it with our lives, but the invaders, they do not care for beauty. They destroy. I want to help protect it," Aiden said. "Not because it's mine, but because it's valuable. Because life is valuable." Lyra considered his words. "Most humans only think of themselves." "You do not." "Perhaps that is why your words moved us before." Aiden smiled faintly. "I don't know about moving, but I know respect can create trust, and trust is stronger than any weapon alone." The training continued into the afternoon. Aiden and the warriors practiced not only combat skills but also coordination. He suggested exercises that forced them to work as a team, predicting each other's moves and protecting one another. At first the warriors struggled. They were used to individual skill, personal strength, but slowly they began to adapt. "You humans. Your ways are strange," Lyra said during a break, "but effective. Perhaps strength alone is not enough." "Strength is nothing without teamwork," Aiden replied. "Even the strongest fighter can fall if they fight alone." By evening, the warriors had begun to move differently. Their attacks were coordinated and their responses had an unexpected fluidity, guided by Aiden's tactics. He noticed smiles, or the closest thing to smiles, that flashed briefly across their faces. They were beginning to trust him, not completely, but enough to see him as a useful ally. Then a sharp cry echoed through the forest. Aiden and the warriors froze. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter as she readied her weapon. "Scouts report invaders approaching from the northern cliffs," she said. "They are closer than we feared." Aiden's heart raced. This was it, the first real test of their alliance. "Let's move," he said calmly. "We can set traps, use the terrain, and combine our strengths. If we work together, we can hold them off." Lyra nodded. "Follow my lead. Trust your instincts, human." They ran through the glowing forest toward the cliffs. The ground vibrated beneath their feet as distant sounds of the invaders echoed, a combination of shrieks, roars, and mechanical hums. The alien warriors tightened their grips on weapons, eyes glowing with focus. Aiden kept pace, his mind racing to plan their defense. When they reached the cliff edge, they could see the invaders, a group of towering alien creatures with dark, armored exoskeletons and sharp claws. They moved in coordinated packs, clearly intelligent and dangerous. "They are strong," Lyra said, "but we are ready. Humans, warriors, together." Aiden surveyed the terrain. "We can use the cliffs and the floating plants as obstacles. If we force them to move through narrow paths, we can control their attacks. Some of you lure them, others strike strategically. Timing is everything." The warriors nodded, understanding his plan quickly. It was unusual for them, but they trusted him enough to try. As the invaders approached, the battle began. The alien women moved with precision, striking quickly and retreating into the forest. Aiden darted between them, using his agility and clever thinking to anticipate enemy attacks. He noticed weaknesses in their formations and guided the warriors with hand signals and whispers. Lyra moved beside him, her silver hair glowing in the dim light. "You are useful," she said, a hint of admiration in her voice. "And you are inspiring," Aiden replied. "Your skill is incredible. Together, we can win this." Hours passed in a blur of movement, strategy, and combat. The invaders were strong, but Aiden's tactics combined with the warriors' skill created a deadly combination. They used the terrain, the cliffs, and even the glowing plants to confuse and trap the enemy. Aiden's voice carried over the battlefield, guiding, encouraging, and coordinating attacks. At one point, an invader charged directly at Aiden. He dodged, rolling under the creature and springing to his feet behind it. With a swift strike, he disabled its balance, allowing a warrior to finish it off. Lyra watched, impressed. "Clever," she muttered. "Humans truly think differently." The invaders began to retreat, realizing that the alliance of human and alien warriors was more dangerous than they anticipated. With one final coordinated strike, the last of them fled into the forest, leaving the area quiet except for the warriors' heavy breathing. Aiden looked around, heart pounding. The alien women gathered near him, weapons lowered, eyes glowing softly with relief and respect. Lyra stepped forward. "You have proven your value, human. Your words, your strategies, and your courage. They are not weaknesses. They are strengths." Aiden smiled, exhausted but happy. "Thank you. But none of this is because of me alone. We work together. That is the true strength, humans and alien warriors side by side." For the first time, the alien women seemed relaxed, even curious about this strange human. They had seen his abilities, his intelligence, and his courage. They had also seen his respect for them, his honesty, and his ability to inspire. A small seed of friendship had been planted. Lyra looked at him, a faint smile touching her lips. "Perhaps there is more to humans than we believed. Perhaps we can learn from each other." Aiden nodded. "And I have much to learn from you. Your skill, your discipline, and your courage are remarkable. I am honored to fight alongside you." As night fell again, the glowing forest bathed in soft light, Aiden and the warriors prepared for what would come next. The invaders would return, stronger and more numerous, but the bond between human and alien was now real. Together they had formed an alliance that could withstand even the greatest threats. Aiden lay down near the stream, exhausted but satisfied. He had not only survived his first battle, but had also proven that humans were more than fighters. They were thinkers, leaders, and allies. And somewhere deep in the forest, the alien warriors whispered quietly among themselves, their thoughts no longer only of strength and combat. They wondered about the human who had frozen them with words, who had earned their trust and who might change their world forever. The morning sky was painted in streaks of pink and gold as Captain Aiden and the alien warriors prepared for the battle ahead. The invaders were coming back, stronger, larger in number, and more determined than before. The calm of the glowing forest had disappeared. Every rustle of leaves, every distant hum of the strange wildlife, reminded them that danger was near. Aiden adjusted his gear and looked at Lyra and the other warriors. "We've trained together. We've learned from each other. Remember, strength is important, skill is important, but teamwork is what will win this battle." Lyra's glowing eyes met his. "We trust you, human. Let us see if your strategies are as clever as your words." Aiden nodded. "Then let's do this." They positioned themselves along the cliffs and the narrow forest paths, setting up traps and obstacles to slow the invaders. Aiden and Lyra coordinated the warriors, placing the fastest and strongest at key points, while assigning some to distract the enemy with swift, unexpected movements. The glowing plants and floating vines were used cleverly, some to hide warriors, others to create confusion among the approaching invaders. The first wave appeared on the northern cliffs. They were massive, armored creatures with sharp claws and glowing red eyes. Their movements were calculated and relentless. They hissed and roared, a sound that echoed through the forest like thunder. Aiden took a deep breath and whispered, "Stay focused. We can do this together," the invaders charged. The alien warriors met them head-on, their weapons flashing with energy. Lyra led the charge, her strikes precise and fast, cutting through the first wave of enemies. The younger warriors followed her lead, their movements coordinated perfectly. Aiden ran through the battlefield, dodging attacks, guiding warriors with hand signals, and exploiting openings. He noticed a group of invaders attempting to flank the warriors. Thinking quickly, he shouted directions, positioning warriors to intercept them. His quick thinking saved several of the alien fighters from potential harm. One of the largest invaders lunged at Aiden. He rolled under its claw and used a floating vine as leverage, propelling himself behind it. With a swift strike to a weak point in its armor, he stumbled it forward, allowing Lyra to finish it off with her energy blade. The warriors began to see the value of his tactics. Clever human, Lyra muttered under her breath, moving past Aiden to take down another enemy. Your strategies, they work. As the battle raged, Aiden noticed how much the alien warriors had adapted. They were no longer relying only on speed and strength. They were anticipating each other's moves, covering flanks, and responding to changing threats with coordination. The lessons he had taught them were being used in real time. Aiden shouted encouragement to the warriors, his voice cutting through the chaos. Hold your ground. Use the cliffs. Remember our traps. We are stronger together. The invaders seemed taken aback. They had expected individual fights, strength against strength. But now humans and aliens fought side by side, confusing and overwhelming them. The invaders' attacks became less organized, and some began retreating as they realized their advantage had disappeared. In a daring move, Aiden climbed a floating rock and leaped to another, landing behind a group of invaders. He used the terrain creatively, striking and retreating, forcing the enemies to split their attention. Lyra watched, impressed. Humans, you fight differently, not just with skill but with imagination. Hours passed, but the combined forces of humans and alien warriors held strong. Every invader that fell seemed to boost the morale of the warriors. Their trust in Aiden grew and their movements became more fluid, more confident. They were not just soldiers, they were a team. At one point, an invader grabbed a young warrior and threw her to the ground. Aiden's heart pounded. Without hesitation, he sprinted forward, using a clever maneuver to block the creature and knock it off balance. Lyra followed immediately, striking the invader down. The warrior scrambled to her feet, eyes wide with gratitude. You saved me, she said, still catching her breath. Aiden smiled. We save each other. That's what teamwork is. The final wave of invaders appeared, larger and more dangerous than before. Their red eyes glowed brighter and their claws cut through the air with deadly precision. But the humans and alien warriors were ready. They had learned to anticipate each other's moves. They had learned to trust. Aiden shouted a plan quickly. Split into groups. Use the cliffs to trap them. Focus on their weaknesses, then regroup. The warriors moved swiftly, following his guidance. Lyra led one group while Aiden coordinated another. Together, they funneled the invaders into narrow paths, forcing them to fight one at a time. The terrain, combined with their combined skill and strategy, turned the battle in their favor. Aiden noticed one particularly large invader attempting to break through their line. Thinking quickly, he called out to Lyra, Now, use the floating rocks to trap it. Lyra and the warriors acted instantly. With coordinated strikes and clever maneuvers, they pushed the invader into a trap, immobilizing it. Aiden landed a precise blow and the creature fell. The remaining invaders, seeing their leaders fall and being outmaneuvered at every turn, began to retreat. Their cries echoed through the forest as they fled back toward the northern cliffs. Aiden and the warriors did not pursue. They knew the battle was won. For the first time, silence settled over the forest. The glowing plants reflected the fading sunlight, and the warriors lowered their weapons, breathing heavily but victorious. Aiden stood among them, his body tired but his spirit soaring. Lyra approached him, her glowing eyes shining with admiration. Human, you have proven your worth. Your words, your strategies, your courage, they are not weaknesses. They are strengths. Aiden shook his head slightly. It's not just me. It's all of us. Humans and alien warriors together. That is why we won. The warriors looked at each other, a mix of pride and respect in their expressions. They had fought side by side, adapting to new tactics, trusting a human in ways they had never trusted outsiders before. The seed of unity had grown into something strong. Lyra spoke again, softly. Perhaps humans are not as we feared. Perhaps there is value in your ways, your words, and your courage. Aiden smiled faintly. There is much we can learn from each other. Strength is important, but so is trust, respect, and cooperation. That is what wins battles, not just skill or power alone. The younger warriors gathered around Aiden, their expressions curious. We never thought a human could teach us so much, one said. Aiden knelt slightly to meet their gaze. It's not about teaching. It's about working together. Every warrior here has skills I cannot match, and I have ideas you have never seen. Together we are stronger than anything that comes at us. Lyra nodded, a rare smile touching her lips. Perhaps we were too rigid before. Perhaps strength is not only physical. Perhaps it is also in strategy, trust, and understanding others. Aiden felt a warmth in his chest. The warriors had begun to change, not because he demanded it, but because he had shown respect, honesty, and courage. They had learned to trust, to work together, and to value more than just brute strength. As night fell, the forest glowed softly. The warriors gathered near the cliffs, keeping watch for any remaining invaders. Aiden sat beside Lyra, exhausted but content. You have done well today, human, Lyra said. Not just in battle, but in showing us another way. Perhaps your kind is more remarkable than we believed. Aiden smiled. And perhaps your kind is even more remarkable than I imagined. Skilled, brave, disciplined, and willing to adapt. That is rare anywhere, even among humans. Lyra tilted her head, considering his words. Tomorrow we may face new challenges. But today we fought as one, and that may be the greatest strength of all. Aiden leaned back, looking at the glowing forest and the stars beginning to shine above. He had not only survived his first true battle with the alien warriors, but had helped forge an alliance that could protect the planet. Humans were clever, adaptable, and inspiring, but it was trust, cooperation, and courage that had truly won the day. And somewhere deep in the forest, the alien warriors whispered quietly among themselves, their minds no longer only on strength and combat. They thought of the human who had frozen them with words, taught them strategy, and fought beside them with courage and respect. Aiden closed his eyes briefly, feeling the weight of the day. The invaders might return and new challenges would come. But for the first time he felt that humans and these alien warriors could face anything, together. The forest was quiet now, but the memory of the battle still lingered in the air. The glowing trees reflected the first light of morning, casting a soft shimmer over the cliff edges where Captain Aiden and the alien warriors had fought together. Victory was theirs, but Aiden knew that the threat was not gone entirely. The invaders would return eventually, stronger, smarter, and more numerous. Yet today, the bond they had forged would stand as a shield far stronger than any weapon. Aiden sat on a smooth rock near the stream, catching his breath. Lyra approached him, her silver hair floating softly in the breeze. Human, she said, her glowing blue eyes calm but thoughtful. You have changed our understanding. Not only of combat, but of ourselves, Aiden smiled faintly. I didn't change anything by myself. We learned from each other. Your strength and skill are incredible. I only showed that cooperation and trust make them even stronger. Lyra tilted her head, her expression softening. Your words, your actions, they are strange to us, but they carry truth. You have taught us that emotion does not weaken the strong. It strengthens them. Aiden nodded. Exactly. Courage and respect, teamwork and honesty, they are as important as strength. Sometimes even more important. Together, humans and your kind can face anything. The younger warriors gathered nearby, their eyes wide with admiration and curiosity. We never thought a human could be trusted so easily, one said, her voice quiet but sincere. Aiden smiled warmly. Trust is earned, not given. And you all earned mine today through your skill, courage, and determination. Lyra stepped closer to Aiden. You have a way of seeing beyond what is obvious. You notice strength, but also beauty, emotion, and courage. Your words moved us before, even in the heat of battle. And your actions, they confirmed that your words were true. Aiden's gaze softened. I speak honestly because I respect you. All of you. You are brave, skilled, and remarkable, and that is worth saying. For a long moment, Lyra looked at him silently. Then she nodded, a faint smile touching her lips. Perhaps humans are more remarkable than we believed. Perhaps they can inspire not only courage but understanding. The forest shimmered with a gentle light as the warriors reflected on the day's events. They had learned more than tactics. They had learned that cooperation, trust, and honest words could create strength even greater than their physical skill. They had fought as a team side by side with a human and had discovered a new way to think about power. Suddenly, a soft rustle came from the trees. A small group of forest creatures emerged, their eyes bright and curious. Even these animals seemed to sense the new energy of unity that had been created. The warriors watched them quietly, a rare softness in their expressions. Aiden stood and stretched, glancing at the cliff edge where the invaders had once approached. "They may come back," he said. "But if we face them together, we will be ready. And even if they come, we will not be divided. Trust and unity are our greatest strength." Lyra nodded. "Then we will remember today. Your presence has opened our minds. You have shown us that strength alone is not enough. Wisdom, respect, and courage must walk alongside it." Aiden smiled faintly. "That is all I hope to do. To show that humans can bring more than destruction. We can inspire, we can unite, and we can fight for more than just ourselves." The younger warriors approached him cautiously, as if still unsure of how to respond to this human who had so clearly earned their respect. "We are grateful," one said softly, "for your guidance, your courage, and your words. You have made us stronger, not just in battle but in understanding." Aiden crouched slightly to meet their gaze. "And you have made me stronger too. You've taught me about skill, discipline, and courage beyond what I imagined. Today we fought as equals, and that is something special." Lyra stepped forward, placing a hand near her chest, a gesture of respect in her culture. "We will never forget this day, human. You came as a stranger, and now you are part of our story." Aiden felt a warmth in his chest. He had traveled across the galaxy expecting danger, conflict, and perhaps isolation. Instead, he had found friendship, respect, and the power of words combined with action. Even among beings so different from humans, connection was possible. "Tomorrow," Aiden said, "the invaders may return, but we will face them together. And even if they do not come, the bond we formed today will remain. That is stronger than any weapon." Lyra's eyes glowed brighter, a rare hint of pride in her expression. "Yes, strength without unity is nothing. Today we have learned something important, not only about humans, but about ourselves." The warriors gathered near the stream, sharing quiet words and gestures among themselves. For the first time in generations, their thoughts were not only on combat, but also on understanding, respect, and trust. A human had shown them that strength alone was not everything, and that courage and honesty could unite even the most disciplined warriors. Aiden walked to the edge of the clearing, looking out at the forest below. The sun cast long shadows, and the glowing plants reflected soft light across the landscape. He felt a sense of hope, knowing that even in the vastness of space, humans could inspire change, respect, and unity. Lyra approached him one last time. "Your mission, your presence here, has changed us. Perhaps not immediately, but the seeds are planted. We will remember your words, your courage, and your actions. You have earned our trust." Aiden bowed slightly in respect. "And you have earned mine. I came to explore a new world, but I leave having discovered something far more extraordinary: the power of cooperation, respect, and courage. And the truth that humans and your kind can face any challenge together." Lyra nodded. "When you leave, human, know that you will always be welcome here. You are a friend to our people. Your presence changed more than the outcome of a battle. It changed hearts and minds." Aiden smiled faintly. "Thank you, Lyra. That means more than I can say." The younger warriors approached him one by one, offering small gestures of respect in their culture. Some touched their hands lightly to their hearts. Others gave a soft nod, all signs of gratitude and acknowledgement. Aiden felt a sense of connection he had rarely experienced in his travels. As the day turned to evening, Aiden prepared to leave the planet. He had records to send back to his fleet, and perhaps other missions awaited. But his heart was full, knowing that humans had made a difference here, not through conquest or violence, but through respect, courage, and the willingness to cooperate. Lyra and the warriors accompanied him to the landing area. "Farewell, human," Lyra said, her voice soft but firm. "Remember that the bonds formed today may be tested, but they are real. Your presence here will be remembered forever." Aiden nodded. "I will return, Lyra, not as a conqueror, but as a friend and ally. And when I do, we will continue to learn from each other, fight together, and protect this world together." The alien warriors watched as he boarded his ship. Their glowing eyes followed him, their minds filled with thoughts of strategy, courage, and respect. They had learned more than combat today. They had learned about trust, inspiration, and the power of words combined with action. As the ship lifted off, Aiden looked down at the glowing forest, the cliffs, and the warriors below. "This is only the beginning," he whispered to himself. "Humans can inspire, humans can unite, and humans can make a difference even among the stars." Lyra and the warriors waved, their gestures full of respect and acknowledgement. The youngest warrior whispered almost to herself, "He froze us with words, but he left us stronger in ways we never imagined." Aiden's ship soared into the sky, leaving the planet behind. The glowing forests stretched beneath him, a reminder that courage, respect, and unity could flourish even in the most alien worlds. He thought of the battles won, the lessons learned, and the friendships formed. For the first time in a long journey, he felt that humans were not only capable of surviving the galaxy, they were capable of inspiring it. Strength alone might defeat enemies, but courage, respect, and honesty could create alliances, trust, and lasting change. The stars stretched endlessly before him, and Aiden knew that somewhere in the galaxy, the alien warriors were thinking of him, planning and learning. They were stronger now, not just because of his presence, but because they had learned that unity, trust, and respect were as vital as skill and strength. And in that vast, glowing universe, one human had left a mark, not through domination, not through conquest, but through honesty, courage, and a single whispered word, "You're gorgeous." It had frozen warriors in mid-fight. Yes, but it had also opened doors, built trust, and changed hearts. And that was the true strength of humanity. Aiden leaned back in his seat, watching the stars, and whispered to himself with a small smile, "Humans can make a difference, always, no matter where we go." The ship accelerated, leaving the planet behind, carrying not just a human, but the message of hope, respect, and unity across the stars.